GB's here of Into the Squared Circle podcast. Yeah, we got some breaking news coming from the World Wrestling Entertainment. Yes, it's Monday, the day after WrestleMania, April 3rd. Wee earlies in the morning, news has been broke out that WWE has finally been sold, as there's been reports over the weekend that the deal was almost about to be closed. And it was reported over the weekend that Monday could be the day, could be officially announced. Well, here we are. It's April 3rd, the Monday after WrestleMania, and WWE released a statement. And obviously, CNBC broke the news, of course, and BloombergReport.com. Upon closing, Endeavor, the company that pretty much owns the UFC, will hold a 51% controlling interest in the WWE, and the existing WWE shareholders will hold a 49% interest, of course. And I quote, coming from Endeavor, the company that's going to buy the WWE, and I quote, "Together, UFC and WWE will have a global reach, impressive scale, and a channel distribution," Endeavor said in a statement. The new company, which is WWE, will be led by Ari Emanuel, who's the CEO of Endeavor. So what's that actually means for Vince McMahon and company in the WWE? Well, the press release continue on that Vince McMahon will continue as the executive chairman of the board. Mark Sapporo, who will be president and COO of both Endeavor and WWE. Dana White, yes, Dana White will continue to be serving his role as president of UFC, and Nick Khan will still serve as president of WWE. So nothing is changed in upper management in WWE. Now, the board of directors will consist of 11 members, all right, who will be appointed at a later date, 6 of whom will be appointed by Endeavor. So you're going to have 6 consistent board members from Endeavor, and then WWE will have 5. On a combined 2022 fiscal year ended basis, UFC and WWE achieved revenue of $2.4 billion and a 10% annual revenue growth rate since 2019, they reported. The transaction values UFC at an enterprise value of $12.1 billion and WWE at an enterprise value of $9.3 billion. The transaction represents a contribution price of WWE approximately $106 per share. Additionally, WWE and UFC will continue to contribute cash to the new company so that it will hold approximately $150 million. At close, Endeavor intends to sweep all excess cash at the UFC, and shareholders of the new company, which is WWE, are expected to receive a post-closing dividend. So if you're a well-knowledge person and works in stocks and works in business, you kind of do the math here in your head here. But if you're an average Joe that's a huge pro wrestling fan like myself, yeah, man, this is big news. WWE is finally sold. It's going to be under the Endeavor branch division umbrella. So it's going to be WWE and UFC together under Endeavor. So big business move in the pro wrestling world coming from the day after WrestleMania. Now, of course, Vince held an interview with Ari from Endeavor together on CNBC. And I'll go ahead and play the clip exclusively for the podcast. So if you're listening right here on the podcast and you're a new listener, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you're listening to on iHeart. All right, let's talk about WrestleMania night number 1. Let's see if my predictions are correct, and let's see if your predictions are correct or close to mine. All right, WrestleMania night number 1, live from the SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California. Also live on the Peacock Network. Let's get to it, baby. Match number 1 to kick off WrestleMania night number 1. Yeah, Austin Theory versus John Cena. 11-minute and 20-second match to kick off the show. It was a great match. And if you heard my prediction episode, via through the podcast or YouTube, I said this was going to be a tough match to pick. And I was very curious to see how this is going to play it out. Now, if John Cena won this match, not only did he win it, but he'll also win the U.S. title. That being said, it will make this prediction a little harder now because obviously he's a major movie star. His schedule is very limited, just like The Rock, but also I thought about if he won the title, maybe he'll show up on the Raw after WrestleMania, have a U.S. Open Championship match, and then probably drop the title on Raw to somebody else. But that's not the case. This match was excellent. John Cena showing little to none ring rust, so he looked great. Brought out his trademark "You Can't See Me" 5-knuckle shuffle, the STF, and then the attitude adjustment, of course. Austin Theory looks great too. He carried him great throughout the match, and Austin Theory, guy is phenomenal. I keep saying this week after week. Austin Theory is a future star. Like him or hate him, the kid is a future superstar, and he looks great. Well, the key points in the match between Austin Theory and Cena. Cena was planning on doing an attitude adjustment on Austin Theory. Well, Theory was holding on to the ropes, trying to avoid to get the attitude adjustment from Cena. Eventually, both men bumped into the ref. Good old bump spot to the ref, which means anything could happen with the ref is down. That means anybody could cheat with the ref down and not looking. So, of course, Cena managed to get the STF on Austin Theory. Honestly, he was tapping out with the ref being down. And as Austin Theory was tapping, John Cena thought he won the match. He got up and started celebrating, and Austin Theory is like, nah. I got you, brother. I got you. The ref is down, meaning I could do whatever the hell I want. And that's what he did. Austin Theory low-blowed John Cena. And next thing you know, the ref was slowly working his way up, unconscious. He realized, oh, John Cena's down. Oh, Austin Theory has him in a pinned position. 1, 2, 3, and for the win. And a shocking upset and a huge, memorable win for Austin Theory. His biggest win of his lifetime against John Cena, one of the greats at WrestleMania. Wow. Fans didn't see this coming, but I knew it. I knew this was going to come. And that was my pick. So what a way to kick off my prediction. Austin Theory defeated John Cena by pinfall. How about that? All right, the next match. Men's WrestleMania Showcase for the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match of the Street Profits versus Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus Alpha Academy versus the Viking Raiders. So this was a great match. By the way, if you care about the time, it was an 8-minute and 30-second match. It was a pretty good match. This match had a little bit of everything. Ricochet is always phenomenal. Obviously, he had his big WrestleMania moment doing these outrageous moves and flips. Braun Strowman doing his choo-choo train spears outside of the ring. The Viking Raiders looked pretty good. Street Profits looked very great as well. Overall, take a guess on who won this match. If you didn't watch WrestleMania, of course. Obviously, the winner of the match. And my pick, of course, the Street Profits. And how about that? I'm 2-0, baby. 2 wins straight into WrestleMania. So how about that? Okay, let's move on to match number 3 of WrestleMania Night 1. Seth freaking Rollins versus Logan Paul. I'll tell you what, both men had great WrestleMania entrances. How about that? Logan Paul was suspended onto a zip line. And then Seth Rollins had a local Los Angeles musical conductor doing this, whoa, you know how it is. But hey, both had great entrances. Very entertaining, of course. You know how WrestleMania, every superstar, at least majority of the superstars, has massive, grand, spectacular entrance. But nonetheless, let's talk about the match between Logan Paul and Seth freaking Rollins. It was a great match. Both men look phenomenal. Logan Paul looks like an athlete. For someone who is an influencer, it's always great to watch Logan Paul wrestle in the ring. And both men went at it like they have a long history of heat between both men. And it was a great match. Overall, it was a great match. Time, 16-minute and 15-second match. Logan Paul brought out a Prime energy drink mascot. Apparently, the person that was wearing this Prime costume was apparently a friend of Logan Paul. I guess his name is KSI. I don't know too much about this person, but apparently he's a business partner to Logan Paul. Eventually, he got lumped into the match where Logan Paul was laying on the announcer table. Apparently, his buddy of his, who was in his prime costume, eventually it was like a switch and bait. And Seth Rollins was on the corner post of the ring, about to do a frog splash from the ring post to the announcer table. And once that bait and switch happened, Seth Rollins gave the frog splash to his business partner. But that was a great, nice little moment, of course. And Logan Paul, man, he is phenomenal. He's an awesome athlete. And he's not an actual athlete like baseball, football, none of that stuff. But as I mentioned, he is an influencer. So someone who's never grew up in the wrestling industry or never went through a NXT or a territorial wrestling or independent scene, guy came off the streets and got into the ring, gotta say it's very impressive from Logan Paul. But in my prediction episode, I said Seth Rollins will get the win. Why? Come on, the guy got knocked out each and every week from Logan Paul, so there's a pretty good indication that Seth Rollins will win this match. And sure enough, he won the match. So here I am, my friends, 3-0 my predictions. So far, so good. And I said that prior to the next match. And I guess what? I jinxed myself. The 6-woman tag team match between Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control. And I said I had a feeling there was going to be some kind of turmoil between Trish, Lita, and Becky Lynch. But I was wrong. They worked great as a team. I gotta say, it was a great match. Not too shabby. A 14-minute and 40-second match. And I was wrong on this prediction. Who won this 6-woman tag team match? Well, it was no other than Lita and Becky Lynch. My pick was Damage Control. And guess what? I got the big ol' L, loser on this one. So I am 3-1 in my prediction. So yes, I'll admit I lost this prediction. Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch won the 6-woman tag team match. Okay, up next, a singles match, a 14-minute and 55-second match. A match fans been going crazy for. Rey Mysterio versus his son Dominic Mysterio. By the way, as I mentioned about WrestleMania entrances, Dominic Mysterio came out in a correctional van with a bunch of police officers, correctional officers, of course, coming out the van with handcuffs, making it seem like he just got out of the Los Angeles Correctional Center. Yeah. Rey Mysterio, I loved his entrance. What was so spectacular? Well, Rey Mysterio came out in a lowrider with no other than Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg, riding the lowrider. Obviously, they came out with Snoop Dogg's song. I don't know too much about Snoop Dogg's music catalog, but it's a very popular song everybody knows from Snoop Dogg. Came out in the lowrider, and the next thing you know, the music transitioned to the Eddie Guerrero theme song, which I thought was just phenomenal. Great job to the WWE. Props to them. Nice little tribute to Eddie Guerrero, rest in peace. Came out the Eddie Guerrero song right in the lowrider, and then they switched into the Rey Mysterio theme song. Overall, I thought the entrance was spectacular. Great job to the WWE. All right, let's talk about the match. It was a great match between Rey and his son Dominic. There was a spot in the match where literally Rey was spanking Dominic with a belt. And then obviously moving forward in the match, obviously in the front row for support for both men, Dominic's mom, or Rey's wife, Angie. Yeah, she was sitting in the front row with obviously Dominic's sister. And there was a point in the match where Dominic grabbed the cup out of his, I believe his sister or mom's hand, threw the cup, whatever was in the cup, I assume it was probably liquid water. I hope it wasn't like MJF's spot where they had tequila in it and dumped it in the kid's face. That's not nice. But he threw the liquid in his mom's face, and she didn't like it. Rey didn't like it. Came out to the ring and just pounded his rear end. Eventually, Eventually, Dominic came back out, talking smack to his sister, and this time, yeah, Dominic's mom, Angie, finally slapped him. She was gonna go full on Mysterio mode. Well, sure enough, Rey got Dominic back to the ring and just went to war with his son. And I tell you what, I had this prediction wrong. I had a feeling that Dominic was going to defeat his own father, but I was wrong. And as I was watching this match, I'm like, you know what? Rey's gonna win this match. And sure enough, he won this match. And guess what? This match, I lost 3-2 in my predictions. So Rey Mysterio defeated Dominic. An awesome WrestleMania moment. How about that? All right, let's move on to the next match. This is my favorite match, and I thought this match stole the night. For the singles match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Champion, a 23-minute and 35-second match. Charlotte Flair, who walked down the ring as a champion, went to war with Rhea Ripley. I tell you what, this is probably the best women's match I haven't seen in the WWE in a long ass time. I'll tell you right now, this match is easily a 5-star match. You want the best of the best in the women's wrestling roster. WWE is the place to be. And I tell you what, this match was so good. Charlotte Flair is a star. Okay, she is a star. She is the top of the women's roster in the WWE, along with Becky and along with Bianca Belair. And Rhea Ripley, yes, she is an upcoming star. She is 26 years old. She's a former NXT champion, a former NXT UK champion, a former main roster tag team champion. But of course, she went to war and she showed off that she is one of the best alongside with Charlotte. And then, man, I tell you what, if you haven't seen this match, I recommend this match. I give this, hoorah. Hoorah to both women putting on one of the best damn. I'm surprised they didn't put this in the actual main event slot. But we'll get to in shortly on the actual main event match, the last match of the show. But you know what? This was close enough. Close enough. Where I don't know what else to say because this match was so good. And guess what? My pick, looking back, I thought I had this pick right, but I mentioned in my prediction episode, it's going to be a close match, a 50-50. But I went a little risky and went to Charlotte, and I was wrong. And I knew, I said in my prediction episode that I knew this one's going to bite my ass. And guess what? I got bit. And the winner of this match was Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley. Again, my heart said go for her, but my brain told me to go with Charlotte, and I should have stuck with my heart. And Rhea Ripley, she is your new WWE SmackDown World's Women's Champion. What a moment. Great moment. 26 years old. Now she is top of the world as the Women's Champion. Congrats to Rhea Ripley. Yes, that's right. Round of applause. Both women put on an excellent wrestling clinic match. Great stuff. So here I am, 3-3 in my predictions. Now things are turning its tide. All right, an unexpected singles match. Wasn't part of my predictions, so this is neutral when it comes to my record. The Miz. Apparently Snoop Dogg said, hey, Miz, apparently you posted on Twitter that you challenge a open match at WrestleMania. This is like, what match? Well, sure enough, the fans got a little surprise when Pat McAfee, of course, showed up. And I tell you what, I love Michael Cole when Pat McAfee shows up. This is where Michael Cole is in his prime in commentary. And I love Michael Cole and Corey Graves. I tell you what, the commentary team, I love it. Corey Graves hate Pat McAfee. And man, Michael Cole is over the moon for Pat McAfee. And just a big mark for Pat McAfee. But sure enough, this turned into a match between The Miz versus Pat McAfee. And guess who won? Pat McAfee. I'm a fan of his. Okay, let's move on to the main event. A big-time field match. Part of the Bloodline storyline. Fans are waiting for. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos for the Undisputed Tag Team Champions. Of course, the first team to come out to the ring, the Usos. Nothing but booze. Out comes the next team. And man, that crowd popped. 80,000. I don't know, what was the total crowd for WrestleMania Night 1? I don't know. It was a sold-out crowd at SoFi Stadium. I think it was 80,000 people. Nonetheless, man, it gave me goosebumps. It gave me chills on my skin when Kevin Owens came out. He came out first and that crowd lost it. Man, it was good to see him all pumped up. Out comes Sami Zayn, and man, that crowd was singing to his song. Man, that felt good. It gave me chills and goosebumps. And I tell you what, when I play the after WrestleMania press conference, if you saw the gear that KO and Sami Zayn was wearing, they were representing PWG, the logo on their pants. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Fans know the history between Kevin and Sami. That's where their early stopping grounds. That's where they came from growing up through the wrestling community, not just through Ring of Honor. Obviously, they played a major part in Ring of Honor, but also through Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla is based out of Southern California, which is still around today. And yes, they were strongly showing their wrestling roots through their shorts. And I know Cody's doing the same exact thing. His trainer belt he's gonna use for his main event has all the wrestling promotions on his belt. But it's good to see Sammy and Kevin wearing the PWG logo on their shorts, which I thought was awesome. Nice little tribute. Man, this match had a storytelling match. They got people out of their seats. The Usos was taking control of this match. Good, 60-70% of this match. Super kicks. The Usos brought out the day one move. Remind me the FTR's big rig finishing move. And no, Sammy and Kevin kicked out of that. Next thing you know, there were super kicks, kick out of that. A lot of kick outs, a lot of close calls. But eventually, Sammy and Kevin brought their momentum up. The crowd was going bananas. Oh man, they're making their comeback. The Usos are slowly losing their momentum. Out comes Sami Zayn. Gave his, what is kick called? His Sami Zayn kick to one of the Usos. Not one, not two, but three kicks. Pin one of the Usos. 1, 2, 3. And Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are the new undisputed tag team titles. And the crowd, babies were thrown in the air. People were crying. It was a feel-good moment. And guess what? This prediction, I was right. So I am 4-3 on my predictions. What a beautiful moment for the main event. People were happy. I was happy. So what a main event. So the matches that stole the night, obviously the women's match between Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, I thought stole the night. And then obviously second, the main event for the undisputed tag team titles between the Usos versus KO and Sami Zayn. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That was night number 1. Okay, here on the podcast, I'm going to play the media scrum following it. So I will give you guys the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I will give you guys the Rey Mysterio. I'll give you guys the Rhea Ripley and the Triple H all in one. So stay tuned for the audio clip. Then I'm going to pause this. I'm going to give you the transition. And I'll give you guys my night 2 review of Wrestle Travel to the Future. Here we are, man. WrestleMania Night 2, the results. Wow, what an epic ending for night number 2. Yes, it's Monday after WrestleMania. Of course, I'm going to watch the Raw after WrestleMania to see what's going to go down on the USA Network, of course. But let's give you guys the results. Let's see if my predictions are correct for night number 2. So without further ado, let's talk about it. By the way, stick around on the podcast. I will have clips from the post-press conference after night number 2. If you're watching on YouTube, check out the press conference from the WWE following for night number 1 and night number 2. But here on this podcast, I'll give you guys the audio for both nights' press conference. Okay, let's talk about night number 2 of WrestleMania. Of course, WrestleMania night number 2 got to start off in a big, massive way, no pun intended. Brock Lesnar versus Omos in a singles match, of course. Looking at the time card throughout the whole night, if it wasn't for a surprise match, this Omos and Brock match could have been the shortest match on the card. Easily could have. But again, I pointed out on my prediction episode that I had a good feeling this match is going to be fairly short because, look, you can do so much with two massive guys in the ring. You could do so much. But let's talk about the match. As I mentioned, it was very short. Both men got to the point. Omos kicked off the match by whipping Brock Lesnar across the ring like a toy. I was like, whoa, that's impressive. Man, Brock was getting the beat down for the first half of the match. Hands down, Omos was just powerful. The way he was grabbing Brock around the neck and around his face and just impressive. But what was really impressive, the highlight in this match, Brock Lesnar giving the F5 to Omos. That's impressive. I mean, you thought Hogan picking up Andre at WrestleMania 3 was impressive. Man, this is right in the books. Hands down, very awesome for Brock. To pick up Omos and F5 him in the ring, to pin him, 1, 2, 3 for the win. A clean win. And the winner of the match, Brock Lesnar. So, once that comes out on my results. Yes, I got this one right. That was my prediction, Brock Lesnar to win and kick off WrestleMania night number 2. By the way, my record on my predictions for night number 1 was 4-3. Let's see if night number 2 surpassed that. Hopefully we'll make a little bit of ground compared to night number 1. All right, let's move on to the next match. A women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. Yeah, which comprised of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shotzi versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. It was an okay match. Nothing spectacular. It was an 8-minute and 25-second match. This match went pretty quick. Raquel Rodriguez, she looks like a star. She looked great in the ring. She was a very impressive athlete, of course. Liv Morgan, she looked pretty good as well inside the ring. Otherwise, nothing too special in this match. But the winner, which team walked out with a victory in this women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag match? Well, guess what? I jinxed myself. My prediction was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Well, guess I'm 1-1, I guess, right? Because the actual winner was Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler to win the Women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. Okay, let's move into match number 3. This match kicked ass. I'll be honest with you, it kicked ass. The time, 16-minute, 40-second match. A triple threat match for the WWE Intercontinental Champion. The champion that came down the ring, Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. This was a hell of a match. It was a great match. All 3 men went to war, especially between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Man, those guys went at it. I enjoyed in the match where Drew was getting nothing but chest stomps on his chest from Sheamus. He gave him like 20 chest stomps with his hand, pounding like a gorilla. Man, very impressive. Both men look great. Both men look like stars. And I tell you what, when the match got closer to the very end, Gunther came in because apparently he was out roughly towards the end of the match. He was hanging on the sidelines while both men in the ring, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, were beating the crap out of each other. Then that's where Gunther was smart. Got into the ring at the very end when both men was all out of gas, out of energy. And Gunther power slammed both of them and pinned them 1, 2, 3 for the win. And yes, Gunther retains the Intercontinental Champion. And my pick was Drew McIntyre, and I was wrong on this one. So I'm 1-2. Not a good start for night number 2. Okay, let's talk about the next match. Let's see if this women's match will compare to the SmackDown Women's Championship match on night number 1, which was one of the best women's wrestling match of all time. Let's see if Bianca Belair, the champion, will match up with night number 1. Bianca Belair came down as the women's champion from Monday Night Raw versus Asuka. By the way, both of the WrestleMania entrances were phenomenal. Asuka had a bunch of women wearing her Chinese mask that she normally wear on TV. Bianca Belair had a bunch of local, looked like a bunch of grade school, what do you call it, like a tumbler or a cheerleading practice squad dancing to her music. I thought it was pretty cool. So here we go. Both women stars squared off in the squared circle. And I tell you what, both women look great. Asuka looked great. Bianca looks like a star. It was a 16-minute and 5-second match. And both women went to war in the ring, of course. Bianca looked great. Trying to remember in my old memory bank here how the match went, but it was a great match. It was a great match. And let me know what you guys think into the Squared Circle podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Did you enjoy this women's match compared to night's number 1 between Charlotte and Rhea? This was a great women's match, of course. The winner. Yeah. Well, Asuka was my pick. But guess what? Bianca Belair retained. She retained the Raw Women's Champion. So congrats to Bianca, making her WrestleMania moment and retaining the Raw Women's Champion. Yikes. Well, I guess I'm 1-3 in my predictions here. Not good. All right, an unexpected entertainment match, of course. So I talk about night number 1. Snoop Dogg mentioned the Miz had an open challenge on night number 1, which was Miz versus Pat McAfee. And the Miz lost against McAfee. Oh, I guess night number 2, Miz didn't enjoy Snoop Dogg calling the shots around here. And he was bullying Snoop Dogg like, hey, dude, think it's okay for you to call the shots around here? I'm the host of WrestleMania. Snoop Dogg's like, bro, my bad. He's like, you know what? I'm not the one that's going to see my bad. This gentleman that's going to come out and fight you in this match on night number 2, he's going to be saying, my bad. And sure enough, here comes the money. way. Yeah, out comes Shane McMahon. Wow. That surprised everybody. The crowd popped. Even I popped. Jumping out of my couch, seeing Shane McMahon coming out. I'm like, wow, this is great. Like, when was the last time we seen Shane McMahon in the WWE? Well, sure enough, Shane's like, okay, we're going to have ourselves a match. Yeah. And if you watch this match, you kind of know what I'm laughing at because once that bell rang, the match got going, Shane McMahon did a leapfrog jump over The Miz as The Miz was running towards him. And once Shane McMahon landed back to the mat from that jump, apparently he popped his knee. He popped his knee. His knee gave out, and it was a legit injury. It wasn't part of the story here. That's where the camera turned away when Shane got hurt, and The Miz was sitting there stalling like, oh crap, like Shane really hurt himself. And props to Snoop Dogg, man. He improvised. He just realized, like, oh boy, okay, we're not gonna have a match. Shane really got hurt. Well, I'm gonna come in the ring and just do a fake punch to The Miz. And that's what happened. Nobody told him anything. Just Snoop Dogg got in the ring, like, okay, we still got a show here. Shane McMahon's really hurt. I'm just gonna just knock out The Miz. And Miz just got to play it. And that's what he did. He knocked out The Miz. And what Snoop Dogg did, gave the people one of the greatest The Rock's people's elbow move in history. Ah, man, I love when Snoop Dogg hit the ropes. He wasn't really hitting the ropes. It was so funny. You know, that was the entertaining. Kind of keep your mind away from what the hell just happened to Shane McMahon. But Snoop Dogg hitting the ropes and then throwing his glasses like The Rock threw his elbow pad in the crowd. Snoop Dogg threw his glasses in the crowd and dropped the people's elbow. Hey, man, I don't know what's more bad. Snoop Dogg taking that frog splash in AEW, and it was like the most awkward frog splash, or Snoop Dogg hitting the ropes in WrestleMania. Hey, man, I don't know which one's bad, but hell, you know what? It was entertaining. Very quick move from Snoop Dogg to fill in the void and not ruin this very special WrestleMania moment because Shane decided to pop his knee in this match. Oh, well, I'm not going to laugh about it. Shane, get better. Oh, man, yeah, maybe do a little bit more practice, I guess, before you hit WrestleMania. Okay, next match. The Hell in the Cell match between Edge versus the Demon Finn Balor. Hey, props to Edge. Came out the Slayer, South of Heaven. Dude, I jumped out of my couch when I heard that song. I'm like, oh my God, they're playing Slayer. For all the metal hits, by the way, I do have a metal podcast called A Lesson in Headbanging Podcast. Available on all major podcasting outlets and at YouTube if you're a fan of rock and heavy metal. But man, I was happy to hear Slayer for Edge's theme song. Man, that was awesome. Obviously, Rick Rubin was in the crowd. If you know the history between Rick Rubin and Slayer, Rick Rubin produced the iconic Slayer albums like Rain and Blood. And it's just such a great metal album. But okay, going off topic here. But man, there was a great entrance between both men. Edge with this whole, glass mask he wore with the winged. Apparently, Gangrel and Christian never showed up. Apparently, Christian brought back the Brood, but it was like a different kind of Brood. But they didn't bring back the 90s with Gangrel and Christian for some reason. So there's something behind that there, folks. And of course, Finn Balor came out with this full makeup on his face and back and got the headpiece, and it was pretty cool. It was a great match. It was a violent match. This match was 18 minutes and 10-second match. The spots in this match, man, there was a lot of good spots in this Hell in a Cell match. Kendo sticks, there were ladders in there were tables, of course. There was a spot in the match where there was a platform hanging midway on the Hell in a Cell cage. Finn Balor climbed onto that. Edge was laying on a gimmick table because you could tell that damn table was already bending when Edge was laying on it. And right when Finn Balor jumped off that platform, Edge moved just in time for Finn Balor to crash right into the table. Nobody home, and man, that looked very rough. But man, this match was just intense. But the winner, the walked out with a victory in the Hell in a Cell. Man, I got this one right. Bouncing back, rebounding. I am 2-3. And the winner of the Hell in a Cell match, Edge. All right, folks, here we are. The main event has arrived for the WWE Undisputed World Champion. The first person to come out was Cody Rhodes. Came out with a massive pyro all over the place. Came out and gave his training welterweight to Brody Lee Jr., who was in the front row, came out and hugged his little daughter and his wife. And here we are, folks. Cody Rhodes is finally made eventing WrestleMania. And out comes his opponent, the Universal Champion himself, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns came out with the wise man, Paul Heyman. The crowd was booing. 80,000 people plus were just booing the hell out of him. Out comes Roman Reigns, and the match kick off with collar and elbow to kick off the match. This was one of the longest match on the card, or probably WrestleMania in total. 34 minutes and 35-second match. And I tell you what, folks, this main event was a WrestleMania classic. This match will be going down in the wrestling or WrestleMania history books forever as one of the greatest and the most disappointing ending of WrestleMania. But I won't spoil it just yet. But this match was just phenomenal. Roman Reigns, he looked great. Man, he had emotions in the ring. The way he was presenting, giving his storytelling. Down talking to Cody Rhodes, telling him that, you know what, fans didn't come here to see you. They came here to see me. You came to the main event for me. And there was a point in the match where Cody was picking up momentum. And eventually Roman Reigns came outside of the ring. Paul Heyman comes up to Roman Reigns. He's like, go in there and destroy him right now, Roman Reigns. My tribal chief. I thought that was hilarious. But man, I tell you what, man, both men were just at the top of their game. 1,000%. Both men went to war. Cody Rhodes brought out everything he could. He brought out the pedigree. He brought out the what he brought out? The crossroads, like 2 times or 3 times. I can't remember how many times Cody did the crossroads. Obviously, Roman had the Superman punch at least 2-3 times. Brought out the spears at least 2-3 times. Obviously, tables were broken, which was the announcer table, of course. Both men, man, they just beat the crap at each other. This was an instant, classic, 5-star match. And if you haven't watched this main event, go watch it. Go watch it. Again, another top 10 contender. Greatest wrestling matches of 2023. Hands down. Obviously, MJF and Danielson AEW was one of the best for this year so far. This one's going to be in that list, along with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte. So between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte and this match between Cody and Roman, props to both the women's and the men's division. Props to them. Hands down, Cody showed to the world he is the superstar of WWE. Well, that was not the case, because Solo Sikoa came down to the ring with Roman, and every time Paul Heyman distracted the ref, Solo either had Cody's belt and whacked him in the back. That's where the ref saw him and ejected him. But he kept on, stopping Cody Rhodes, slowing him down by tripping him or hitting him when the ref was turning his back, distracting from Paul Heyman. Once Solo got injected, midway through the match, Cody and Roman accidentally knocked out the ref. There he goes. There's the ref spot. Okay. Fans are wondering who's going to come down and interfere. Nobody just yet. Okay, well, Solo Sikoa's going to come out? No. It was the Usos that came out and super kicked Cody Rhodes, and now it's a 3-on-1 beatdown with the ref knocked down. Okay, who's going to come out and even the score? Out comes the new Universal Tag Team Champions, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, to even the score. So now you have an inner war between the Usos versus KO and Sami Zayn going on in the ring and spilled outside. Eventually, everybody went out. Now it was just down to Roman and Cody. And Cody was slowly picking up the momentum, but out of nowhere, out comes Solo Sikoa again with a hoodie on and took out Cody Rhodes, and Roman Reigns put the cherry on top. And the ref woke up unconscious and saw Roman pinning Cody Rhodes. 1, 2, 3. And maybe 90% of the crowd was as pissed off as I was that Roman Reigns defeated Cody Rhodes for the Universal Champion. Just robbed them. The story didn't finish. Just think about that. Story didn't finish. Finally, a Rhodes member headlining WrestleMania, but didn't win the title. I put a poll on my Twitter page, Into the Squared Circle Podcast. What you guys thought about the finish? You liked it? You didn't like it? Or you thought it was just completely BS? Well, you guys have spoken. You guys made your voice heard on my official podcast. 6% of you guys said you enjoyed it. You enjoyed the ending. 58, okay? 58% of you guys said it was a BS ending. I agree about that 58%, 100%. And fans know, everybody know that this was a major mistake, but according to Triple H in the press conference, this may be the end of a chapter for a certain individual, but a new chapter will begin. This story has just scratched the surface. And now for the podcast listeners on the feed, you guys will get the press conference audio. And I'll start with Triple H, of course, and then I'll lead right into Roman Reigns. And for the YouTube folks out there, go check it on YouTube. The press conference is everywhere, of course. Follow me on my social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, Into the Squared Circle, or listen on every major podcasting outlets, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Check me out on there as well, Spotify. I'm on there. So for the podcast users, I will play the audio right now.